Yo, what's up everyone? My name's Dave and you suck at programming. Alright, today we're going to talk about running commands over SSH and quoting variables over SSH and how they can get real hairy real fast and some tricks for how to deal with it so you can stop being cringe losers about it and be base like me and know how to run commands without running into quotation issues with bash, okay? Let's go. Alright, so first things first, let's run a really simple command. We can run the uname command. I'm on my Apple machine, so you can see it says Darwin, that's the name of the kernel. Cool. We can SSH into a different machine and run commands. Did you notice? I can SSH into my void machine and run uname, and I can see that it's running Linux. I can SSH into Arbiter, and I can run uname, and I can see that it's running SunOS. So you can just give a command to the end of the SSH command, and it will run on the remote host and then return back to your local host. You don't have to actually SSH in and create a interactive session. You can just run commands remotely like this. Super, super useful. Let's talk about something else and I'll show you how they relate. Okay, you might have been in a situation like this where you want to echo a variable and print it out. So let's say we want to look at our current working directory. Look at that, we're in users Dave, dev, you suck at programming, part 19. That's our current working directory on this machine. Super cool, right? Well, let's SSH into our void machine and run echo pwd. Now, if we run this, we still get the same directory, even though I can tell you that directory does not exist on that machine. So what's going on? Well, the variable is being expanded on our local side. We're quoting it like this. So you might think, okay, well, let me put this quote here. So this whole thing gets processed on the remote end, right? Nope, still being processed on the local end. Okay, maybe you think, oh, I'm smarter than that. I'll put the single quotes here and then we'll run it. And there you go. That's great. But what's going on here? This whole thing is being passed to a shell on the remote end, and this variable is being expanded unquoted. That's not a problem right now, but what if the present working directory had a space in it, or multiple spaces, or new lines or tabs? I mean, if you're familiar with my channel, you know I love to do crap like that. So this is fine, but you're still expanding this variable without quotations in a shell. It's less than ideal. So let's talk about some ways to fix this, okay? One of the easiest ways to fix this is to think, what am I trying to accomplish? You're trying to get your current working directory. In this example, this is a variable. So what we can do here is instead we can run commands in the remote end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use hyphens here to separate, so I can say SSH to void and then put some hyphens here, and then I can run the command on the remote end. This just separates the SSH command from the actual local command that I'm going to run. Remote command, I shouldn't say local command. So what can we do here? Well, there's a lot of things we can do here. We could run very simply printf. Printf just prints an environmental variable without having to expand it. So if I just say pwd and run this on the remote end, bam, there we go. There's my present working directory on that machine. I didn't have to use any quotes. I didn't have to use any $ or expansions. Super duper simple. Also, let's not forget that present working directory is a command. You can just run pwd. Bam, there you go. There's the answer to your question. Which pwd is running? That's really interesting. What kind of question is that? Well, if we run type on pwd, we can see that's a shell built in. It's also a command. So which one's running over here? Well, I'll give you a hint. I don't want to actually give you a hint. I'll just show you how to get the answer. It's the shell built in that's being run. This is being executed through a shell. So why is that interesting? Because we could either run the built-in pwd manually, or we could run the command pwd, which I believe on this end is bin pwd. Yeah, there you go. But you don't have to think about this. You don't have to worry about any of this. You can just run pwd and bam, there you go. That's the command you want to run. So moral of the story is you can quote it. You can find a way to quote it. If you find yourself escaping quotes, you're probably in too deep. Break apart what you're doing into more manageable chunks. Find the right program to execute. Stay away from quotations and expansions if you can. But otherwise, just make sure you quote everything properly. And there you go. There's quotations and bash.